Modern Pleasure answers the questions about sex that you've always wanted to ask but didn't.
Join me, Kim K, and our resident sexpert, Dr. Jenny Schuyler, as we dive deep into combos ranging from sexual intimacy and pleasure to eye-opening sexual revelations. Well, hello there, Dr. Jenny.
Hi, Kim. Good to be back with you.
I know. This is our 9th episode, if you can believe it.
No,
I know. We've only got 3 more to go. I'm going to be sad when this is over, but maybe it doesn't have to be over. We'll see how it goes. Thank you again for listening to the Modern Pleasure Podcast. I'm Kim K with my resident sexpert, Dr. Jenny Schuyler, and our super sponsor, Adam and Eve. They've been amazing. And we just can't thank them enough for their support. And for our listeners, if you're a Modern Pleasure listener, you can get 50% off almost any one item at adamandeve.com just for being a Modern Pleasure listener. And you could just use that code word modern and put it in upon checkout, when you check out all that fun stuff. And here's the deal. You get more than just that 50% off of that one item. You also get 10 free gifts and free shipping. And they've got so much stuff. I have to say, we have not tried out our little thing yet. And I'll get into that in a minute. Our little gift that my husband bought the last time he purchased something. But I'll have to tell you that they came with all these really cool things. And so those 10 free gifts are fun. And I'm not quite sure that everybody's going to get the same thing. It'd be fun to go and order something again and see if the 10 free gifts are different than the ones that I got, because there was quite a few little things in there. But Adam and Eve, they're a great resource for all kinds of great stuff, including really cute lingerie, by the way. Did definitely see something in there that I thought would be really fun. And for the past 50 years, they have helped over 20 million customers worldwide. So check them out, adamandeve.com. Use that code modern, get 50% off almost any one item, and get all that fun free stuff at the same time. So I kind of alluded to the fact that, we were super excited about this fun little gift that my husband got from Adam and Eve. And we just haven't had the opportunity to use it. Almost feel like we've gone backwards a little bit. And I wanted to ask you about this. And, because we were on such a great connected role, not necessarily on a sexual level, but just on a level that was connecting on a more intimate, part of our relationship. But I don't know if it was just, there was so much going on. I felt like we were just going. And then I was getting super irritable, and it was really on me, just super crabby, not into it, and I could tell he was really trying. And I just was like, I just don't want any part of this at any point. And I had to sort of do a reset, it's like, okay, what's your problem? Why are you being this way? What happened to the playfulness that you were bringing into this? And what I discovered was, I think that I was so overwhelmed in so many other aspects of my life, including work. And I felt like there's been a lot of other, things that have been going on in our lives in terms of, my parents and some other stuff, right? That you don't have a lot of control over, but it does create a lot of stress. And that stress creates a lot of exhaustion. And I just don't have the energy for it, right? So when it got to the point where he's like, okay, come on, honey, I can't, at some point we've got to, I need to have sex, basically. Right. And I remembered what you said about, I think this was in the obligatory sex episode that we did, about how if I look at it differently, like it's not an obligation, but a gift. Right.
Yes.
And so I turned that, I kind of went in that direction, and and it was late at night. I was so tired. I'm like, I really got to go to bed. I got to get up. And he's really trying really hard. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to gift him this sex tonight that was in my head. And so after we had sex, was very quick, but it was satisfying for him. He kind of looked at me and he was almost feeling like, okay, sorry about, guilt kind of a thing. And I said, no, it's my gift to you. I was gifting you that sex. I didn't feel obligated to have it at all. And he went, gifting, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh, I don't, I go, haven't you been listening? Did that part just kind of go over your head or did you forget? And what happened was he didn't feel guilty about pushing me for sex. So it worked both ways. And that was the first time we had experienced that. So it works, that mindset works.
It totally works. I mean, there's a few things to respond to, Kim.
Let's break it down. Go ahead.
One is, you say he's pushing you for sex. I just want to check in that. Is he requesting? Is he demanding? Is he pushing?
No.
I know he's
being very subtle. He's just kind of giving me all the signs and I'm just completely ignoring it, basically.
But I'm curious if you guys have a repertoire of different kinds of sex. And I know we're going to get into this in another episode in terms of what I call my cheesecake of pleasure. But if you guys have a repertoire of different activities, especially low stress sex activities, which could be he self-pleasures, he's touching his own penis while the other arm is holding you. And you don't have to do much. You're laying there with him with connection. Or maybe your hand is helping his hand. But when you really have no bandwidth, can you resort to those lower stress activities?
Well, and I totally hear what you're saying. And yes, we have done that too. I think it's the, penetration that he's looking for. But, and then again, maybe not. I don't know. I just...
What is that? What does he need? What does the penetration symbolize for him? What does he need? Does he need the sensation of his penis being enveloped by your vagina? Right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Or does he need to feel full body contact with you? Does he need skin to skin contact? Does he need the connection? Sometimes just feeling that closeness is what he's going for. It's confirmation that he's desirable, confirmation that he's connected to you, right? And so if we can give that in other ways, I totally desire you. We're totally connected. And I don't have a lot of bandwidth for penetration. Does it minimize the need?
No, yes, and I recognize that as well because, when we were first kind of diving into this, I definitely felt that, but my issue is that I kind of lost track of it. I needed to remind myself again, because it's easy to get caught up in all the other crap, right?
Yeah.
But I think that for him, it is the desire part and what was not happening, that was not happening on my end.
Yeah.
Because I was just almost like a mom who just needs a day off, from everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to sit on my couch, catch up on my Real Housewives and not talk to you or see you or hear you.
Kim, that speaks to your other point. What happened to all our playfulness? What happened to all our progress? And what I see in the office a lot, and this is really normal, is couples will make forward progress and then they'll step back a few steps and then forward progress and step back a few steps. And that's actually because the bandwidth and capacity for change that a human being has, we don't exponentially grow in the direction we want to grow in. We grow in that direction, but it comes with some road bumps and our system goes, wait, that's not the devil I know. And then it pulls back a little bit. And then you have to recalibrate. Okay, my growth. Wait, that's not the devil I know. We pull back. So we end up as human beings, no matter our growth trajectory, whatever we're trying to grow in this case for you, playfulness and sex with George, it makes sense that you're playful. And then your system's like, whoa, past my threshold, pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I have full faith that you'll play again, but just to be patient with that natural ebb and flow of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 more steps forward, 1 step back, and that's really normal.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Well,
Yeah.
and again, I think I have to recognize my, lack of response to his, to his efforts, and he definitely he's been checking all those boxes in terms of I'm going to be subtle. I'm not going to push and this and that. And, and I have to just hang on. It's a mental thing for me. It's a total
Yeah.
mental thing. I totally get that part of it. So diving into our conversation today, when we talk about couples or even, on a level of being single and sexual relationships, I think there is a lot of common thread to that whole, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because everybody's got to navigate their own way, right?
Mhm.
Today's episode dives in a little bit more into the LGBTQ community, and I obviously I don't have a lot of information in terms of sexual relationships. I have a lot of friends that are gay, bi, queer, a lot of friends, but I don't necessarily talk sex with them.
Mm.
So I don't really know a lot of the issues that they might have, or how they navigate through that. What's your experience? And I know that you've had experience, but I'm curious to know what your experience is, because a lot of times when we talk about our episodes, we do say we're going to get into this on this level. Well, here we are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we're all human. And so whatever our sexual identity is, or with trans, then it's a gender identity. And that's different. Our sexual orientation is different than our gender identity, right? Who we're attracted to versus who we are as a human in the world. And so one is sexual orientation, the other is gender. And a lot of people don't get that. They get that mixed up. So really understanding the completeness of our humanity. But I think, the couples I have in my office who are queer and or trans have the same struggles as straight couples, right? We're all still trying to navigate relationship. We're all trying to navigate our sex drive and when we want sex and then we don't, trying to navigate intimacy. There's other components, gay and queer couples, gay, lesbian, queer couples. The sex doesn't look like straight sex all the time, right? Straight sex is that sort of social narrative that we were trying to debunk in our first episode of like
Mhm.
penis and vagina intercourse. That is one way to have sex, but there's lots of ways, right? There's oral sex and there's anal sex and there's, sex on various parts of your body. And, there's sex with toys or wearing a toy. With trans sex, depending on where somebody is in the process, some people do a lot of body modifications and some people do none. And so, though navigating trans sex is when there's body modifications, we're really navigating a new sensory map. So
Mm.
a lot of sensate focus, because especially if breasts are removed or breasts are added, especially if breasts are added, some people don't have any sensation now in their breasts or nipples because
Mm.
the addition of breasts, which happens sometimes, not to everybody, but sometimes with breast modification. Certainly when there's genital modifications, our sensations and our nerve endings can change. And all it means is that we need to be a student of our partner's sexuality, right? And of our own sexuality, right? I will be your student. Tell me how your body works, what is off limits, if there's anything off limits, and what you love and what's yellow, and we'll go slow. Sometimes the person is, the person who had body modifications or genital modifications, for instance, is learning at the same time, right? So if you're single, for instance, let's say you're trans and single and you're getting out there, you might not know about, you might know all the parts of your own body you like to self-pleasure, and then suddenly you have a person in front of you who touches you in a new way, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that I liked that. So
kind of going through puberty again with experimentation of your own body as somebody who, yeah, gotcha.
we're talking surgery and hormones, right? In terms of the trans experience. And the trans experience, sometimes I don't like to lump in LGBT with T because we're talking different things sometimes. But certainly, one thing that gets confused as well is a couple that is a man and woman, for instance. Like I had this before, a man and woman, and then the man comes out and reveals his trans identity and makes the switch to woman. He suddenly went from straight to lesbian because he still loves his female partner. That didn't change, right? His gender identity changed, but he may still be married. I actually had a couple who was married for 30 years and he made the change and they continued on until they died. But they continued on, I think, another few decades and went from being a straight couple to a queer couple. And so that's just something also to consider and keep in mind as you're conceptualizing sexuality.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. And that makes sense too. I mean, it and I'm going to be honest, it's hard to, be in that perspective if you're not living it. Right. So well, the one thing that I think I'm learning about a lot of the conversations that we have is that pleasure is pleasure. And so that is the one thing that I go back to, pleasure is pleasure and it doesn't matter.
And we're all,
yeah, exactly.
We all have a body. We all have eroticism. It can, be really fluid and diverse and wide, right? And some people it's very narrow.
Yeah.
Right around to it.
Adam and Eve is not giving you 10% off and not 20% off or even 40%. Your discount is even bigger. AdamandEve.com is giving you a whopping 50% off. But why stop there? Use offer code
MODERN
and you'll also get 10 free gifts, like a sexy item for him, a special toy for her, and something you'll both enjoy, plus 6 free spicy movies and free shipping. So go to AdamandEve.com now for 50% off and more.
Well, we're happy to bring back Shelley Stenson, who was on our program last time. She's the director of Project Empowerment at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital in Oakland. And also, this program is pretty amazing. It's an HIV prevention program, which we talked about in our last show for Black cisgender and transgender women. So we're going to bring her in. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning, divas. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank
Good.
you. Thank you so much.
So I know that you work with a lot of women in the HIV prevention program,
Yes.
and some of them are straight, some of them aren't. We'd love to get your take on your experiences in terms of sexual relations. And so when I'm thinking about the transgender community, and and I'm just curious to know what that process is in terms of sex, having sex or pleasure. And I'm unfamiliar with this. So I'm just trying to ask the questions that maybe somebody else might be asking as well.
Excuse me. Well, sex is subjective first. And so there's no blanket approach to talking about sex for trans women. It's like I said, an individual matter. But we do agree across the board that sexual relations and contacts and intimacy the goal is to achieve pleasure, whatever that looks like for each person.
Mhm.
So when we talk about sex, it's more of an individual matter. So I cannot answer the question in saying that all trans women have sex in this particular way, because that's an unfair statement for me to make. Now, if you're interested in talking to a trans woman about her sexual pleasure profile, you'll get a clear answer about that person. So where we intersect as women, we love sex more than men realize, but we love good and great sex because no one wants to waste their time. Like I said, WAP. Nobody wants to waste no pussy on some
Yeah.
trashy sex. So it's a very important thing for us as women going forward. So and definitely communication about what we want and how we want it is a responsibility that we hold, because closed mouth don't get fed, as we say, right, Dr. Jenny? So I would ask that question to trans women.
Kind of
Can I jump in for a moment?
yeah.
One of the things I imagine you're struggling with, and I imagine a lot of people struggle with this, is leading with curiosity, right? As a therapist, I'm trained to lead with curiosity about the human experience, no
Right.
matter the human who's sitting in front of me. But I think humans struggle to access their curiosity in a calm, centered way sometimes when somebody is so different than us, right? And that your experience is different than my experience, or your Shelley experience is different than my experience, or
Right.
Taylor Hyland's experience will be different than, you know what I mean? We all have different experiences, and for someone who is different than us, I think humans sometimes struggle to access curiosity, when I think curiosity is the envelope to love, and then we get to know each other. And so yeah, what I heard Shelley saying is bring on the curiosity, like just ask, right? Is that
Just ask. Yes. Just
Yeah.
ask, because
Ask.
9 times out of 10, my rainbow family are very open to answering questions. And there are a lot of terms out there. There's no difference. Sex is sex. It's what it is.
Yeah.
So pleasure derived from sex is diverse. And for what I find is a lot of, you say, heterosexual straight communities want to make it different for our rainbow family of folks, when in fact we're all pretty much doing some of the same things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So there's no difference. I don't like the term gay sex. What does that mean?
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
honestly, I've done some things that would be considered or fall into that bucket, honey. Okay.
Yeah, we heard about you last time.
Right. And it's like, hey, no, I'm achieving pleasure. My body
Yeah.
responds to certain stimulus, and that's just what it is. It's a very simple equation. So all this extra stuff that's put upon it is definitely related to social constructs and
Well, and I think
homophobia.
that's why we're having this conversation. I mean, like I mentioned before, pleasure is pleasure. And I think this is why these conversations are so important, because not only do I want to understand and learn and satisfy my curiosity, but I really think it's important that these conversations take place so that other people can learn as well, and I think it's important, to be honest, really important. We talk about the stigma surrounding sex. Well, there's stigma surrounding a lot of the way we think about, other genders. I mean, I have a hard time with people who just don't understand this whole gender identity thing. And it's like, well, I don't know that it's really yours to understand, but at the same time, maybe it is really important. So I'm glad that we're having these conversations. And Shelley, I think maybe it is time to ask those questions to our guests that are coming in, and I would like to bring them in, and I'd like to hear what they have to say. I want to hear about their story.
Yes, most
I'm
definitely.
going to bring in Kayla Moore and Kylin Fowler. Welcome, ladies.
Welcome, Queens. Hi.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes.
It's so
I'm
good to
glad you
see
can.
you.
Yeah, it's so good to see everybody. And I think this is the first time we've ever had like this group session. Usually it's just me and Dr. Jenny and then maybe one other person. So I think this is going to be not only interesting, but I think it's going to be fun to have these conversations. So let's start with Kayla. Kayla, tell me a little bit about you. And I know you can hear what we're talking about. So, be easy on me, but I really want to hear what you think about our conversation so far.
Okay, well, my name is Kayla Moore. I am the program manager here at the Oakland LGBTQ Community Center in Oakland, California. And I have been doing this work for about 10 years. But working at this location, I just celebrated my 2-year anniversary here. So I'm super excited about that.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Proud of you.
Thank you so much. It's been so rewarding just to see, that I'm still here in the community. I'm still making moves in the community. So I'm really excited about that. And just to talk a little bit about what you were saying, I did hear a lot about it. And I think from my point of, sexuality amongst trans folks, I think that just given my own experience is that I'm really kind of traditional old school, if that makes sense. I'm more of, just you have your partner, we kind of do it just, simple route, not too open at the time about how sex is to be explored. But as I got older, I started learning new things about myself. I started learning that certain touches, certain ways that I do things, certain encounters were different than how the norm was. I think a lot of times for me, I could just speak for myself, is that I know that a lot of people have issues when it comes to transgender women, and particularly having encounters with men. And I could just say for my experience, me being a Black trans woman, and in this society where we coming from a place where it's truly religious, and having sex with men and it's abomination and very church going, and that whole stigma behind it. Changing your identity, going against the act of God, and all these other things. There was a lot of challenges that came to, how I even conducted or what I thought sex was. And if I didn't go accordingly to how this was, my life and my soul and my being will be altered and be damned because I'm going this direction. But as I got older, I start understanding that, my connection and my truth to how I, express myself and my beliefs will guide me in the direction I need to. And it guided me to being who I am, opening up and being my true authentic self, which also has allowed me to also being able to engage in this type of sex that I want. I know a lot of times there's stigma that goes behind a lot of trans folks that are living this lifestyle, and you may hear going to a lot of therapy like, oh, well, your child is gay and they must have been touched or molested, and this is the reason why this person is like, your child is like this now, and we need to pray the gay out of them, or they're going to be down for having this same sex situation going on. And it's just so many avenues that can transpire. And needless to say, however that is for them, the journey is still that I know where I'm at and where I was at from the beginning. There was nothing that somebody has done to me or brainwashed me into feeling how I felt. As a young child, I always felt how I look. I always presented and felt how I look, even though, my identity didn't match up to who I am now. I definitely always had a spunk and a snap behind everything that I did, and the hair floss, because that's just how I organically just was. I was raised around strong women that didn't have a problem pulling up their pants and folding up their sleeves and doing the hard work. So I didn't look at, a man has to be a man to be in that situation, and a woman has to be a woman to be in this situation. I looked at a woman being, she can wear the dress and put on the pants and do everything at once because I was raised in a one parent household, if that makes sense. So what I saw was strength that a woman exuded through in and throughout, so and having to wear so many hats. So Piggy, going back to the sex part, I think that it opened my eyes to looking at me, to going down this journey that I was going down, and also knowing that I did find men attractive. I knew that there were things that I liked about boys at a young age, and that was something that I knew that I was going to explore in my life, moving forward in my lifetime. And as the years progressed, I think that sex became, like I said, it was one stone at first. It was kind of like I'm the woman, you're the man, and you do this and whatnot have you. But as I got older, I started exploring a lot more. And I think, to answer a question that you had about how trans individuals or how that encounter is, I think a lot of times it be based off of just kind of how like that operates. When you're a trans woman, are you the receiver? Are you the giver? A lot of times, a lot of these questions come on based on a genitalia thing, and I know that it's not being disrespectful. It's just that the fact that that's where a lot of it is based off of is, oh well, if you're trans, then are you topping them? Are you penetrating them? Are you using your penis? Especially if you're a pre-op. If you're a pre-op, pre-surgery transgender individual, that and you are still functional and using your penis, I think a lot of times people have questions about that. Is are you having having receptive sex? Or are you having penetrative sex? And so that's where a lot of the curiosity comes when individuals ask questions, especially in particularly cis women that has that question about, oh yeah, like, so I seen him, he was down the street and I know he is tough and he's all masculine and almighty and all alpha, and to hear that you're penetrating him, or I heard that he's likes to be penetrated, is mind-blowing to me. And the fact that you're the one that's penetrating him, is like, how is that even possible when he is so mean and so aggressive and so alpha in front? So that's just my perspective on to answer the question I think that you were asking. Is I think times that people think when they think about trans individuals, they think genitalia first before anything. So it's kind of like, well, if I was a trans man, are you still having sex with your vagina? Are you still having penetrated sex? Like, how does that look? How does that feel? Or, it's just a whole mind thing that goes with that. So I hope that answered your question a little bit. I don't want to talk too much, but,
No, it totally does. And I find it really fascinating. So, and if you don't mind me asking some personal questions, so how long ago did you transition?
I actually transitioned when I was 16. I went to the provider and I started talking about hormone HRT, hormone therapy. And I just knew at a young age that I felt incomplete. I felt that my mind was taking me in places that I knew that my body was need to have kept to catch up with. And even though presently I always looked very feminist, feminine if that's presenting if that makes sense. But I just knew that there was more that needed to be done as far as like transitioning. So I started speaking to my foster. I was in foster care. I started speaking to my foster mom and dad, and we just sat down and had a discussion. And the crazy thing about it is that they actually took me to a provider that thought that I was going crazy. So they took me to another provider and got a second opinion on me. And it was a lot. It was a lot, but
Wow.
yeah, it was a lot. But eventually, I did transition at 16, but not in the way that it should have been done. Like I had to go and I met some friends that knew a friend that was giving out hormones in order for me to take that journey into starting my hormone therapy. Because again, I had to go to so many providers, and so many providers were telling me that it was more of a psychological thing, that they wanted to prescribe me medication because they thought that they didn't have no answers to what I was going through back then. Even more so, like I said, I was already producing estrogen in a way that it was uncommon for young boys to do at the time. And so a lot of doctors didn't have a lot of understanding on how this process was working. And I know that a lot of us have read up on, boys getting breasts and having more estrogen level than testosterone level. But at that time, it was something that just wasn't, like heard of or talked about. Now we have more education and stuff about it, but I was one of many of those children that suffer from that and had to go get 2-3 doctors and and brain exams just to figure out that it was just me trying to transition and live my authentic truth. So
Kayla,
question at 16.
Kayla, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking how old you are now? How many years ago was it?
No, I'm just saying. I just made 37, so I just made 37, and
You look amazing.
Thank you so much.
So this is almost 20 years ago you're speaking to, which is, I mean, society and the medical system was not set up for the trans experience.
No, it really wasn't. I had to take Prozac. They wanted to put me on Ritalin. It was like a lot, just because just so much was happening. And I know that it was a lot of me transitioning in my brain. I knew that I was growing up. I knew things were changing and stuff, but I just didn't have I didn't have an outlet to be able to go and to be able to express this to anybody. Let alone I'm 13. I'm catching up. Like I said, I'm just trying to catch up, trying to get there. So by the time I turned 16, it was like, yeah, like I notice things are different now. And I know that we have to find something, something to figure out where am I going? Because this is not, it's not working. I know that I'm doing things that are out of the norm now. And yeah, like I'm having sex, like I started off just, kissing. Kissing led to oral sex to, now we're doing, the do. And now we're figuring out who's going to be the penetrator, who's going to be the receptive. It was, a lot to try to bottle in at one time. So yeah, it was
That's
a lot.
A lot to juggle.
A lot.
Well,
go ahead, Kim.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Kayla, is your role in your job to help people have that transition be just more smooth and graceful and supportive and compassionate?
Yes. So my role now is offering just services in the whole holistic way. What we found is that there's just not one way to get holistic care, and that comes from spiritual, economic, physical, emotional, environmental. These things that is so all often are not able to be accessed. We always have an issue going back. If there's one thing that we're getting good, like we can find a better paying job, but now our living situation is an issue. And then we could probably find our living situation being great, but now we're emotionally drained because our jobs just suck everything out of us. Our personal life just suck everything out of us. And so what we try to do is offer a balance and just offering some type of support. We know that you can't do everything on your own. So let us be some type of ally or advocate for you to offer these services that we have here available. And that may just be coming from a little thing. Like I said, some people may not have food to eat for the night. So we have a pantry here available. Some people just may need somebody to talk to. So we offer direct one-on-one services and case managers to our clients. We also have support groups. I co-found and created and am founder of Hey Queens, is a support group that's here that offers a support circle and safe haven for Black trans women that is often not available. There's only one other place that I can think of in Alameda as of right now that offers a safe place for Black trans women to come to on a day-to-day, when 9 times out of 10, there's nowhere for us to go. So 90% of us are going to go what we know is normal. And that's either to the track or to a hotel room and, somewhere where we feel that our community is being seen and heard of. So let's take them out of that norm element that they're normally being, and let's offer a safe space. And that's what we provide here at the center.
That's amazing. I love that. I want to hear from Kylan too. Hey ladies, what are your favorite toys? Have you gone to adamandeve.com yet and gotten your 50% off by using the code word modern?
In the process, but my favorite toy is anything that vibrates, honey.
Anything that what?
That vibrates.
Oh, yes.
I want to try the rose. I want to see what the rose give. I seen that. It looks very.
Oh, yeah.
You'll love it.
I need to see.
Kylan, you'll love it.
Well, you can find lots of really great things at adamandeve.com and get 50% off almost any one item by using code word modern plus 10 free fun gifts and free shipping in that really indiscreet package nobody's going to know unless you want them to. Go to adamandeve.com, use code word modern. And I like the rose too. I haven't ordered it yet, but I did see it on their website. And I'm like, this looks interesting.
I am ready for it.
Kylan, what's your experience with the rose? Because it sounds like you've used it.
We're gonna let that story stay in reserve. But good morning, everybody.
I love it.
It is such a pleasure to be sitting on a panel and having a very important, somewhat uncomfortable conversation. Anytime it's to bring knowledge to people, to get us off the avenue of ignorant. It is always a pleasure to me to bring advice and knowledge and resource to people.
And I'm so glad that you're here. I really am. And I'm raising my hand. I can be that person that could be a little bit ignorant when it comes to this subject, but I'm okay with that because I want to know.
No, it's not always. It's not ignorant. A lot of people think that ignorant is just like a bad term. It's just the context you're using it. It's just a lack of knowledge. And I did want to give you a gem when it comes to anything dealing with the LGBTQ plus community, because I think we get stigmatized as we're not friendly people or we're not people that want to offer information, because we're really our culture. And when I say our culture, I'm speaking on behalf of the LGBTQ plus. Our culture is very nurturing, and we want to be accepted. We want to be included. And so we're not that type of people to where you have to be timid to ask us questions about certain things. Actually, we get excited. But one thing that going through my college years, I was very timid. With even exploring myself and coming to myself. And my grandmother always told me, if you're bold enough to know the answer, be bold enough to ask the question.
I like that.
So getting getting to our topic at hand, I think a lot of our problem is when we go into compartmentalizing sex. And really, sex really didn't have a department, a compartment, or section on this place that we call Earth. Sex is just sex. And especially when it comes down to trans women, our sex is no different than a cis sex. And I think that's where that's where people have the issue at, because now we have trans women that are totally transformed. And so we have some of the same body parts as you. So sex at this point, sex is really no different. I have the same outlets as you have, including my 2 ears, mouth, and hands and feet, if we want to use that. But sex is just sex. And just like Shelley said, it's for pleasurable and enjoyment. A lot of times I think people get the misconception with sex when it comes down to transgender sex or gay sex, out as the world would call it. I think that's an issue seriously, because a lot of times we have intimate partners, and a lot of times sexual intercourse is not even involved. I'm that type of girl. Well, I have to be totally attracted to you to have sex. If I'm not attracted to you, it's just like the feeling is not going to come. I'm not going to be like, nothing about you excites me to take you to my bedroom, to bring you into my personal space. And so that's why I enjoy intimacy first. And when I look at intimacy, it's no different than a date, a conversation, stimulate my mind. What I like about most is when a guy can have a conversation with me and talk about, his dreams, what he wants to accomplish, his goals. How do you see yourself as a family man? Are you family oriented? How do you view sex? How do you view me? Because a lot of times trans women get fetishized on. Like some men think that we're fetish, and they just use it for their own personal gain. So you have to. It's so much to unpack, but not enough in the suitcase to really making a big deal out of it. Because at the end of the day, sex is just sex. And if you're getting pleased, then you have accomplished your goal. If you're not getting pleased, then you have to collect 10 and go past jail and start over again. You get what I'm saying? So it's not really a difference. I think what makes it a real big issue is when people look at women like myself and Kayla and say, "Oh, y'all, what kind of?" It's not really even about the sex part all the time. Sometimes I just like my partner to come in my house, to a clean house, and we sit and have wine and talk about our accomplishments. Sometimes I climax just off that, not physically, but just the point that you've stimulated my mind, because I'm attracted to smart men. I'm attracted to men that is ambitious. I'm attracted to men that aren't afraid to be leaders and know how to lead. I don't have a problem with being submissive, but I have a problem when I'm not being led right. So therefore, I'm not going to be submissive if you're not leading me right. So to me, I'm a little more difficult when it comes to sex. It's just not, you just not going to look at me and say, "Oh, you're beautiful." Yeah, I know this. My parents gave me this type of attribute that I can give to the world, but what can you give me? And that's the reason why I'm in the position that I am now, because I look at the bigger picture. I just don't look at, a fuck can be a fuck. Excuse me if the mayor hears this podcast, but she knows me. But
No,
it's just, sex just can be sex. But the thing is, I look at the bigger picture of things. If I don't see that you have ambitions, if you don't have goals, if you don't have morals, if you don't have standards, then the intercourse part really ain't gonna go well with me. So I think our problem is we look at the type of sex we're having, and a lot of times I think cis women forget that trans women of trans experience, because that's my thing. Women of trans experience, we're actually having the same sex. And I think that society have really taken us backwards, because that's the campaign I'm running I run on, and that's what I stand 10 toes down on. I want to take us from diversity to inclusion to diversity and acceptance. I feel like if we would have went the opposite way, then people would have a different view at just the LGBTQ plus community, at all. Because when you say diversity and inclusion, I'm just including you. I don't want a lawsuit. That's what diversity and inclusion means. I don't want a lawsuit. So just deal with them. But we're going so past to just dealing with us. You have to accept this. And the thing is, if you don't want to accept it, then either remove yourself or don't surround yourself by this way of life. Because trans people, non-binary people, gay men, gay women, all of us are here. This is not going to go anywhere. And I hate to be the bearer of good news, is we've been in existence a very long time before anybody of this panel was even thought about. If you trace our lineage, if you trace our history when it comes down to trans people, we were healers. We were people that the people of the village brought their children to heal. We were the ones that we gave confidence to the men, the warriors. So if you trace our lineage and our history, trans women ain't just popped up on the earth. We've been in this position. And I think that when society gets back and study our lineage and our history, then we'll have a different respect. People will kind of like respect us a little more. But I think that the thing that we're having a struggle with is a lot of times people look at us and say, oh, that's not normal sex. Well, what is normal sex? Because for a very long time, it was against the law to have sex with your own wife if it's not anything out of missionary. This is facts. I'm not telling you nothing just off the top of my head because it sounds good. But if you had anything other than sex with this is straight cis people. I'm talking about if you had sex with anything other than missionary, that was against the law. That was an abomination. So when we goes back to sex, we got to say, well, what is normal sex? Because really, if we're doing anything other than missionary, then it's abnormal. You get what I'm saying? We have the same oral sex. We have the same adventurous sex. And when I say adventurous sex, that means, you find different positions to use. And you use it to your enjoyment. Some of those work, some of those don't work. But the thing that we get and when I say we, because I don't want to separate myself from society, because I'm a productive member of society and I pay my taxes just like everybody else, we have to come to realization that not all sex is sex and it's no different. And let's not focus on the sex part when we're having the conversation about trans or gay sex as society would say. But let's see, are people getting mentally fed before they even get sex? And I think working in HIV prevention for such a long time, I think that's where we went wrong at, because we trusted a man. And so now we have this thing called HIV. But if we would have took the time to get intimate with the person, to know the person, then that's a part of HIV prevention. I want to know you mentally, like before I know you sexually. And that will help eliminate a lot of just roadblocks. But we can't be timid to ask questions either. Just like I said, if we're bold enough to know the answer, we have to be bold enough to ask the question. And I can attest on behalf of 98% of trans community, we're not those girls that's going to be upset. Now, we know when a girl is being shady. Now, that's an inclination that the higher power has given us. But just general questions about us, because we have to understand each other. Kim, I have to understand you, because guess what? At the end of the day, we're still fighting the same fight. And that's for equality for all women. So we have to get in a position to where we're learning each other, to where we're and then we have to have a willing spirit and a willing energy to say, you know what? This shit is uncomfortable, but this shit is good, girl. Keep talking on. We have to get there. And the reason why the reason why you don't have those type of conversations probably with your gay friend because you're timid or you don't want to step on anyone's toes. But even when it comes to gay men love to talk about their sex. And when you discover it and when you unpack that, you'll notice at the end of the conversation, you'll be like, damn, y'all don't have as much sex as I thought y'all do. Y'all do more talking and y'all do more bonding than y'all do anything. And that's what it's about. And
You
I
make
think
it
a lot
really
of times, like the world gets so caught up in two men or two trans women or a trans man and a straight or heterosexual man are together. And a lot of times the intimacy ain't really even sexual. It's just really the fact that this person understands me and I can be myself around this person.
Well, and you make a really good point when I really think about it. The gay men friends that I have did talk a lot about sex. It was like they did not hold back.
It's enjoyable when you have sex with someone that now I'm not gonna sit on here and act like I've never had sex with a guy like I didn't regret. There were like a handful that I was like, oh my God, why did I give you my time? Oh my God, it's just
Yep.
But I think that's a part of learning yourself. That's a part of learning like what can you tolerate? What can you not tolerate? What works for you? All penises ain't good penises. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you discover. When I discovered listen, I was in high school and my story went totally different. And that's why I'm from Alabama. And so when my grandparents and my mother took me to get hormonal therapy, they called the sheriff department on us. Of course they called the sheriff department on us. It's Alabama. So this is unheard of.
Wow.
You know, transitioning. You transition to what? And just like the good governor say, well, when the good Lord made you a good man, you should be a man, and the good Lord made you a woman, this should be. This is the message that they're giving in our southern regions. And so this is why having conversations like this, being on platforms, being among professional people who have the knowledge and resources, this is why this is important, because they're still being bombarded with this message in our South region of the world. Like anything in the South, they're getting this message. So when I transitioned, I knew that I liked men. You know, I always knew I was a girl. I came out the womb a girl. I mean, they put me in a pink onesie. So there you have it. So I always knew that I was a girl, but I didn't know that I liked men like that until the sex part came in. And my boyfriend was like, my senior year in high school, that was the time you had sex. That was the time you knew whether you was a big girl or not. You know, your high school, your senior prom, that was gonna be your pledge tonight to be a woman. As Betty Wright say, as a great songwriter, Betty Wright, tonight is the night I'm gonna make you a woman. So I think when I listen to that song, it reminds me of my senior year in high school, and boy, was it horrible. And I thought that I did not, I'm like, no, I just like men because they fine. I do not like the sex part of this. And I'm being transparent and honest because that was new to me. And so my body was telling me, my mind was telling me, oh, you like this man. This is the man who taught you everything. This is the man that come and picks you up after he leaves football practice and I'm in band practice. This is the man that everybody in school, I was the rumor. I had the finest football player I come from, and me being Kylan, like that was, they got to be screwing. They hang out. And in my head, I'm like, we're not having sex. But in my head, he my boyfriend because I haven't even experienced what sex really was. And see, that's the misconception. But me and my ex-boyfriend, well, my ex-fiance, we were together sharing intimate time before sex was even included. I started talking to him my 9th grade year in high school, the summer of 9th grade year. And we talked up into I graduated college. So that's how long me and this young gentleman was together. But before that even happened, mind you, I'm still a freshman in high school, so I didn't even have sex until my senior year in high school. So that's one of the stigmas that, the room, they have it, they doing it, they nasty, blah. And that wasn't even the case. We were riding town. Listen, we would literally get in the car, go to TBCY, get ice cream. We would get yogurt and just ride through town talking. We would go to relatives' house that, we thought that would accept us, but yeah, it's more
Kaylin,
intimate.
Kaylin, can I ask you how old were you when you transitioned?
It was my 8th grade. I think I was like 14, 15, because I had a conversation with my mom, and my mom's like, go to your dad now. This is too much. And so my father, I always and this is a conversation that I have with my, this is why me and my father is so close. God rest his soul. He's my guardian angel right now. He's sitting right here guiding me through this conversation. But my father was so accepting. And in the South, that's weird because we come from a very prominently known family in the South. We've been in the funeral home business for 56 years. 58. I'm sorry, this year marks 58. And so I have 2 prominently known Southern Baptist preacher uncles that is known across the world. So I always questioned my father. I was like, you ever had sex with a man at college? Because you was just too accepting of this.
Hey, Kaylin, I'm going to interrupt you really quick. I know Dr. Jenny has to go. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm wondering if we shouldn't have a part 2. Maybe we can.
Don't wonder. Make it happen. Make it happen.
But I know Jenny's got to go, and I really appreciate and thank you so much for being a part of this.
Adam and Eve is not giving you 10% off and not 20% off or even 40%. Your discount is even bigger. AdamandEve.com is giving you a whopping 50% off. But why stop there? Use offer code
MODERN.
And you'll also get 10 free gifts, like a sexy item for him, a special toy for her, and something you'll both enjoy, plus 6 free spicy movies and free shipping. So go to AdamandEve.com now for 50% off and more.
I definitely would like to have another conversation and even dive in a little bit deeper. But I really do feel like, before we started conversing, all of us, I was a little uncomfortable. I wasn't really sure how to approach this. And now I feel like I could have a really great conversation with you girls and ask those questions and dive in a little bit deeper and feel a little bit more comfortable, because you're right. There isn't, when you're not experiencing what somebody else has experienced or feeling, the way you guys felt when you were going through, that change of, what your identity is, who you really are. It's very difficult to put yourself in that perspective, especially when it comes to sex later on, and there are questions, everybody has what their imagination and what they think is going on. So this was really, really great. And again, I really appreciate your candidness and helping to set the record straight. On just a kind of a last note, what would you say is the one thing that you really would like people to understand about your community in terms of sexuality, if you will?
I would just say that, we are who we are. There is not no misconception on how we identify and who we are and how we present ourselves. As you see, this person that you see before you is the person that you are, and that I am. I'm not changing. I'm not putting on the front. I'm not putting on the stunt anything for anybody. This is my true, authentic self. And that's how I will need a person to perceive me moving forward. First off, because I just know that nobody will ever remember who that person was that started off. But the person that is presented to you now, you know that she is her and her is she. I am Queen, God is Kayla. And that's what I'm presenting to you. So any question or perception that you have about me or anything that pertains to what I do, my sexuality, my sexual orientation, you should already know that commonly, oh yeah, this is a woman, and that what she does is that she looks like she's having amazing sex, which I am. She looks like she's going to give you amazing sex, which I will. And she looked like that if you had any questions that pertain to how her sexuality and what kind of sex she's having, that's something that you have to think about. But I can enlighten you, but at the same time, don't think because you heard that I'm trans that the first thing you thinking is, oh well, is she still got a dick? Is that still what it is? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because despite if I have a dick or not, it's going to get pleasured regardless of how I'll give it to you or not. If I want to share that with you, that's what I'm going to share. But don't let that be the reason that you have these questions or what not have you. I could be candid and answer the question for you. And I don't think that you should ever be afraid. But I do think that, those questions has haunted me when I have given an answer to other cisgender women's, because I know that's the first thing that they think. That, well, from my experience, that's the first thing that I noticed that they've done is thought like that in that mind frame of, so how is it? So I would just say just meet me where I'm at, and this is who I am. So that's all I have to say.
And what you're saying is that in regards to that question is it doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. Because no matter how you want to think this is happening, you might have a total, it might be totally something different. So I would just, if you have any question and you have a good girlfriend that can sit there and answer the question for you, ask the question. And don't be scared. I know that a lot of times it's like it's uncomfortable, but I think that if somebody's willing to share their experience with you, I think it's best to come forward, because if you ask the question and then you go and ask another question to somebody else in a different way, it might look like you being phony or, when I don't want to come off looking like that. So.
Right. Kaylin?
We're women. If I want to convey any message to society, don't look at us any less than we aren't women. We just share different experience. Some of us share the same experience. It's just depending on how you look at it. But don't allow our past stigma to keep us from moving forward. I think that's a big issue that we have is people are relying on past ignorance instead of just, hey, it is what it is, as Kayla say. We want to be accepted, and I think it's a bummer when cis women don't kind of like include us or shine us out or put a light on us as if we different. But I would petition, all the women of the world, bring us in the room. Put us in the room. We're supposed to be in the room. We want to help y'all fight so that, because we know that with you guys, we can rely on some good allyship for us. You can, and that's the thing that I tell all of my cis friends. It ain't about shining or hiding your privilege. Know how to use your privilege. There's certain privileges, Kim, that you have that I don't have. And as a friend, as an ally, I expect you to include me and put me in spaces that you typically know that I just can't just walk in and be myself. You get what I'm saying? Because I think that's how valuable information gets passed around when you put trans women in the room. And when you put us in the room, you'll discover that we're no different. We're just women with trans experience. So I think that if you just journey with me on this journey that I want to take all of America, taking us from diversity, from diversity and inclusion to diversity and acceptance, because it's much needed.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. Well, I'm glad that you guys are in the room with me for sure. And I would bring you into any room.
Thank you. Thank you.
This was really great. Shelley, thank you so much for introducing us to Kayla and Kaylin.
I
Again,
they were the best to be here.
so good, and I love it. And I'm gonna work on another episode, see if we can't make that happen, because
I think you do. I think
well,
you
and
do.
and to be clear and honest, I think it would be a great conversation to not only have the Black community represented, but the white community as well in this same
That's right.
gender. I
And
think
trans men. And
and
trans
trans
men.
men,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we can't forget about
trans men,
them
yeah.
too. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe we dive in even a little bit deeper, but this has been great. Thank you so much. Again, thank you to our sponsor, Adam and Eve. Make sure you go to adamandeve.com, get that 50% off by using code word modern on almost any one item, including the rose. We
And
talked about the rose
on the
today.
third page.
Oh,
You guys are killing me. And you get 10 free gifts as well, and free shipping. And they've got so much great stuff, and they're a great resource. They've been around forever, and so why not? Of course they are. Again, that's adamandeve.com, code word modern, get 50% off almost any one item in those 10 free gifts and free shipping. Thank you, ladies. Really
thank
appreciate it. I will
you.
be in touch. Have an absolutely amazing day, and really do appreciate what you had to offer today. Please help us grow this channel by subscribing and liking this video. I also encourage you to tap on that bell icon to receive notifications so that you won't have to miss any of our videos.
And also let us know what you think of this episode down in the comments below. What sex questions do you have, and what would you want us to discuss in our next episode?
Thanks for watching today's episode. And if you want to watch more videos, just tap or click on this video.